Okay, this is like the third time I'm recording this video because the first 2 times I've like messed up the capture. So if this doesn't take, I'm gonna scream. Okay, so Yoshikage Kira, all things considered, is not actually that bad, okay? And before you go and you like roast me, hear me out, okay? He's not that bad. So why people think he's bad? Yes, he murdered 48 women and kept their hands around. He murdered some other people who got in his way, like, you know, boyfriends or like boys who found his severed hand in their sandwich bag and stuff like that. So we'll give him a total kill count of like 60 to be on the safe side, okay? But compared to, that's not that bad. Listen, most of those people that he's killed, they're killed instantly by explosive. So they don't like suffer, he doesn't like torture them, right? They just die. And the people he goes after are normally awful women. Like, so if you're a nice lady, you're probably gonna help him live his quiet life. And so he's not gonna target you. If you're a horrible person, okay, then you may die. But if you're not horrible, he's not gonna go after you. He just genuinely wants to be left alone, okay? So like, yeah, he killed 48, 47 maybe horrible women and Raimi. So like, okay, that's 47. But look at all these other fiends we've seen in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like, okay, this guy killed like 60 people. Okay, small town serial killer. But like, look at all these people, right? Look at all these people. Look at what they've done. Like, look at Dio in part 1, who poisons George Joestar, this nice aristocratic man who has welcomed him into his house, paid for his university education, and he poisons him because he's angry and has like grudges against dads. Like, I got this grudge because you were born into this, like, great family, so I'm gonna kill you. Dude, you were given so much. He was given so much. And he was gonna kill Jonathan, too, right? With the stone mask. But before he did that, he was like, you know, I'm just gonna murder some random person on the street with it, just to see if it works. Like, dude, Dio's messed up. He's messed up. And honestly, like, if he wouldn't have, like, done that, right, then he would have just gotten, like, arrested when he killed George. Like, and that would have been it. But no. He had to test that mask on that random person, and then he used it on himself and became a vampire. And after he did that, like 1 or maybe 2 weeks after getting those vampire powers, he saw Zeppeli, and he was like, you know, how many breads have you eaten in your life? So he's already killed so many people in order to maintain his vampire powers at this point. And we don't know how many people. We just know it was a lot. Like, right, Dio is like, you know, so many, I don't even notice anymore. Like, seriously, dude, really? And then he also does horrible things, like he makes the chimeras, he makes a woman eat her own baby, he tells Poco's sister she has a choice to, like, join him or die, and that's, like, not a choice, because you die either way. And so, yeah, and he killed people like Dyer, and he's just awful. Like, look at this dude. And he burns down this luxury ship full of people to get his paws on Jonathan's body. Like, dude, Dio is messed up. Dio is so messed up. But, right, we can't even stop here, right? We gotta move on to part 2. And we have the Pillar Men. Listen. So, Cards genocided his whole race, right? He killed everybody except AC/DC and 2 babies. So, he killed Pillar genocide, right? Committed Pillar genocide, killed all those Pillar people. We don't know how many Pillar people there were. We just know he killed them all. The Pillar Men, probably Cards, made the stone masks in the first place, right? So they could have food, so they could, like, eat, because they eat vampires, right? So, by extension, they caused all the deaths in part 1. Because if they wouldn't have had the mask, if Dio wouldn't have had the mask, he would have just gotten, like, arrested and thrown into jail for killing George Joestar with poison. So, like, none of this other stuff would have happened. Part 3 wouldn't have happened either, because he would have just been in jail, right? So, the Pillar Men basically caused all of this to begin with anyway, right? They also kill anyone who gets even close to them. So, like, the German soldiers, but then, like, other people, like, Zeppeli, I don't know what his name is, but Caesar's dad, like, that person, they just killed him, when the German people threw the prisoners into Feed Santana, like, that happened too. So, like, I don't know, dude, they just, like, indiscriminately kill. Also, they killed Mark, and by they, I mean Wamu. The nicest of the Pillar Men killed Mark, and Wamu killed Caesar. So, like, this nice man, like, the nicest out of these men is still, like, a cold-blooded murderer. So, I don't know, man. The Pillar Men, they're pretty messed up, too, okay? Then we move on to part 3. In part 3, we can't even, like, get to Dio yet, because we have all these other, like, one-off minor villains that are so horrible. So we start with Grayfly. Who's that? Right, who's that? It's the guy who wrote Massacre on the wall of the plane. right? That's Grayfly. And we know from Abdul that this dude is most known for a plane crash with 300 casualties, right? I'm gonna go back. Do you remember Yoshikage Kira, like 60 people on the safe side? Like this dude, just this one thing, 300 casualties in this one plane crash. And we don't know however many other people he also has murdered. We just know that he's like bad news, right? And then we keep going, right? We keep going. So there's Devo the Curse as well, who Abdul tells us is also like horrible bad news. And we know that none of the people who saw his stand lived, that like they all died. And we can trust Abdul's judgment because Abdul was the person who he saw Dio and he's like, no dude, I'm out. You nasty, right? So we could trust Abdul. So the only person who's ever seen Devo the Cursed stand and lived is Polnareff. And dude, that means lots of people have died, right? Then we move on to Jay Guile, who's a rapist and a murderer, and we don't know how many people he's killed, but we know that Sherry Polnareff is a saint and an angel, so like, unforgivable, awful. Then we move on to Enya, okay? Enya literally got the ball rolling by getting the stand arrows. Like, if she wouldn't have got the stand arrows, Dio wouldn't have had, I don't think Dio would have had a stand. I thought she gave him the stand by shooting him with the arrow. And then, all these other people also, like, wouldn't have stands unless they were born with them. So, yeah, like, she got this ball rolling by getting the stand arrows. If she didn't get the stand arrows, none of this would have happened. So, rude, horrible, yeah, Enya's toast. Then there's, like, Naduo, who's a criminal, and all I remember is that he's, like, a criminal, and, like, he looked up to Dio. But he's probably, like, he probably belongs on this list, too. And then there's Alessi, who beat up the same amount of kids on screen as Kira, because he beat up that child at the beginning of the episode, and he beat up Polnareff as a baby. So, like, Kira also beat up 2 children on screen, right? He blew up Shigechi, and he blew up Hayato a couple times. So yeah, same amount of people, except for Kira doesn't, like, enjoy beating up children, but Alessi, like, enjoys beating up children, so that's horrible. And then the Darby brothers, dude. Listen, I love the Darby brothers, but they're horrible people, and I will not excuse their actions, okay? Daniel Darby kills people and carries around their souls like trophies. Like, look at my collection of all of these poker chips of all the souls that I've stolen. Like, dude, that's messed up. And even more messed up is his brother Terry, because Terry not only kills the people and takes their souls, he puts them into dolls so that he can, like, live with these, like, limbo souls and, like, talk to them. And it's like, dude, he's a psycho. That's messed up. That's so messed up. So all of these people from part 3 are already horrible, awful people that are worse than Yoshikage Kira, right? And then we keep going, and we get to Dio specifically, right? Dio still eats women for his vampire powers or whatever. He gave a bunch of people stand powers to turn them into murderers like a monkey and a baby and Boingo, who's never done anything wrong in his life. He empowered the already killers to kill more by giving them stands. He forced good people to be evil and then bribed people. So, you know, people that, like, we don't know, like, what their jobs were or what their lives are like Mr. Nijimura, like, we don't know what he was like. We just know that Dio bribed him, and then he turned into an awful monster. Like, I can't believe that. Dio also told Vanilla Ice to kill himself, and he did, because Vanilla Ice is extra like that. But, like, dude, you don't just do that. You don't just tell people to kill themselves. You're a horrible person. He also murdered dozens on the streets of Cairo via Senator Wilson Phillips. And, dude, Senator Wilson Phillips is, like, the real MVP of JoJo. Like, he should have been... He's like Funny Valentine levels of, like, good politician. Like, he could have been great. Okay, but Dio had to mess with that. Like, that's, like, so rude. And then, like, I don't know. I didn't even mention any of, like, the Crusaders that got killed. But since Dio revived Vanilla Ice, that we lost 2 Crusaders. And also Dio killed Kakyoin. And that's, like, not okay on any level. So, yeah, Dio's a horrible person. Then we move on to part 4, and we have Angelo, who's also a murderer and a rapist. Like, at least Kira waits until his victims are dead to get freaky, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know, man. This dude is messed up, and I don't know, he didn't have a kill count either. I think he, like, I don't know, there's like 3 boys or 4 at the beginning, and then, like, he killed, like, 4 more people in the span of a day after part 4 started. I don't know, but he also killed Mr. Higashikata. Like, how dare you? He was just a nice policeman. Why would you do that? So, yeah, you probably deserve getting turned into a rock. Then we move on to part 5, Diablo. And, like, I could have talked about way more people in part 5, but this is long enough, so we're gonna cut to the chase here, right? Diablo got off Italy addicted to drugs and runs the mafia. He hired people to kill Trish just so he could kill her himself. He hires so many awful people, like the whole of the squadron is a bunch of assassins, right? And Chocolots is a horrible person who could have his own slide, but I'm not gonna do it because it's long, and I don't want to look at his ugly crop top, okay? And I didn't do any extra research on Diablo, but, like, he got the Eternal Death Loop, so he's gotta be pretty bad. So, rate all of these characters, they're worse than Yoshikage Kira. Like, all things considered, Yoshikage Kira is not that bad compared to all these other people, but we do have yet to mention the worst character in all of JoJo, and that is Straits, right? Straits is the worst character. You know why? Straits freaking murks Speedwagon. Like, look at this. He just decks him in the face. Who does that? Speedwagon is like the nicest man ever. Why? Why would you do that to Speedwagon? What did he do to deserve it? He's just a nice man. He runs an oil company and helps a lot of people with all this money. Like, look, he never did anything wrong in his life. What? So yeah, that's unforgivable. You're being judged as Straight's worst character in JoJo. Like, comment, and subscribe.